Great day, everyone. Happy Saturday. Thank you all for being with us. I am Dr. Sheka Houston, and we are excited that you all are joining us on a Saturday when you can be doing anything else. We don't take it lightly that you are here with us in the R.E.A.L. Academy, which is based on our acronym from our training framework that stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. And these are all things that Tammy and I addressed as we improved our schools with the help of our dynamic staff members, 2 and 3 report card grade levels in 1 year. So we are here every Saturday to pay it forward, to provide the support that we desired and needed as school leaders and that we received from great mentors like Principal Hurt, who we just left his broadcast not too long ago, and also Principal Kafele, who follows us. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheka. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Saturday PD session. And again, as Sheka said, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Jocelyn. Thank you for being on with us. We are ecstatic to have you with us this morning. As every Saturday morning, we count it a privilege to be able to be before you to share some things with you that we hope will be able to help you along your leadership journey. We are so super excited to be able to provide this support system for people that are a part of our professional learning network, and wish that this was something that was available to us during some very trying times that we experienced as leaders along our leadership journey. Good morning. We have Renisha and Lamont. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. We're hopefully anybody that's new to us this morning, we want to be sure to just kind of give you some background on why we do what we do. And we, as Sheka said before, with the assistance of our staff, were able to do some things that turned our school's academic situation around. And those things are very important to us to be able to pay forward. Hey, Dr. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Richard and Central. We are so glad that you guys joined us this morning. We are getting started so that we could get some good information out to everybody. Again, just wanted to be in a position, as Sheka said before, to pay forward what we've experienced in our career, some things that we were able to do to make our situations better. So we want to be able to provide that support to others along their leadership walk. Our company, Create and Educate, is a consulting firm, and we offer not just consulting services, but literary services as well. If you're interested in our work, just visit our website at www.createandeducate.solutions and take a look at the catalog that we offer that kind of outlines everything that is available to you through Create and Educate. And then let us know if you have any questions. Hi, Dr. Roz. Thank you so much for joining us. When you go to the catalog, you'll be able to take a look at that R.E.A.L. framework that Sheka was talking about, because in that SEL catalog, it outlines our 5 super strengths to a real resilient school. And as she said, those are respect, excellence, accountability, leadership, and literacy, because we undergird everything that we do with literacy. Good morning, Glenelle. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Our collaborative podcast, we also want to be sure that we share that, airs on Tuesdays, at 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And we use that platform to actually engage our parents, we engage teachers and leaders to give them that space to be able to come to the table and provide some collaborative ideas and support to each other as we try to solve some of the problems that we are seeing in education today. Finally, we also work with independent authors so that we could get our students access to quality literature that is representative of who they are, so the kids can see themselves and have access to more culturally relevant materials, so that that representation is there, and so that kids can learn and appreciate the cultures and the dynamics of those cultures of other students. If you haven't done so already, you can reserve your copy of It Doesn't Have to Be Lonely at the top. That's the book that is being released very soon by Sheka and I. And again, we say this every week, but please follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on Spreaker. This morning, we're super excited to be able to finish what we started on last week. We were talking about the 6 literacy experiences that children should have each and every day. We were able to go over 3 of those on last week, and we're going to finish with 3 from this week. But before we go on, we have to say and pay some homage to some great guys, and she could mention them before. Principal Hurt was on before us this morning. He came on early at 9:30 and did a fantastic job, as always, talking about those qualities of high caliber and very high quality teachers in the classroom, what that looks like. And we appreciate that work that Principal Hurt does each and every Saturday. We're thankful to be sandwiched between he and Principal Kafele, who's going to be coming on at 10:55 after us. So we appreciate, as we say every week, and don't count that lightly. We don't take that lightly at all. We're humbled by the opportunity to be a part of such a network. And then on Sunday nights, to complete this cycle, you have Principal Josh Tovar with Unlock the Middle. So please, please, please continue to be a part of this learning and growing experience. And as I said, we're going to get started. But before we start with our points for today, just to remind you of what we talked about on last week. Good morning, Arcella.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for joining us this morning. We went over 3 of our points last week. Were every child reads something he or she chooses. We talked about every child reading accurately. And we talked about every child reading something that he or she understands. We're going to pick up this morning and, as I said, finish those points that we were going to share with you. And then we're going to talk about a literacy rich classroom environment, which also is very important to providing those experiences to students each and every day. So we'll jump right into our next point, which is point 4. And that is that every child writes about something personally meaningful. And this is very important because giving students the opportunity to compose continuous text about something that's meaningful is not just something that is nice to have the opportunity for them to do, but really is very important to be a part of the day-to-day work. Sometimes you see teachers in a classroom who say, oh, if you finish up your assignment that you have been given, or you get finished with your quiz early, if your test is done quickly, you may free write. But we want to really emphasize today that writing needs to be more than just something you get to do if you finish something early. You need to have a structured time and a structured methodology for your writing opportunities for students in a classroom. And those experiences need to be authentic. Now, we're not promoting or pushing any type of writing program, because whether you use a structured formal program or whether you've created your own writing workshop experience, the important thing is that kids get those organic experiences so that they have the opportunity to write every day. And the other aspect of writing that I think you really need to make sure is a part of your writing program is students need the opportunity to respond to text in writing as well. So if you aren't a school who uses a reader's response journal, think about that. That's something that could be very, very beneficial and helpful to you. And Arcella, you are absolutely spot on. The writing has to be purposeful and intentional. You cannot just leave it to the kids to develop as writers if you do not provide that space and instruction in how writing and reading connect as disciplines.
You're exactly right, Tammy, and as well as Arcella. And the only thing I would like to add is that one thing I emphasized as a school leader is that writing was just not the responsibility of the language arts or the English teacher. Writing needed to take place across the curriculum. So it's something that the entire team, needs to make sure that they're intentional about. And one thing that I try to help my teachers and school leaders learn how to do that is through a process, just something to quick write. It's a very easy way for students to be able to write. Good morning, Principal
Good
Cafe.
morning,
Thank you
Principal.
for joining us. And a quick write, which allows them, like you said, Tammy, to connect to the text, because that's a very important part of making sure that that reading and literacy is carried through, with making sure that writing and connections, all of those things happen. So,
Yes, and the thing that is also important, Shika, and I'm glad that you mentioned the quick write, is it's so important that we really take that time to allow the kids to respond to text in the way that they want to respond to it. Like sometimes we guide them through that process so formally that
mhm,
we give them frames for how you want them to respond. The
mhm.
thing that's important about that opportunity and those experiences is the organicness that allows them to be authentic in those responses that they have to text. And one thing that I've been guilty of before is, and I had to grow and develop as a teacher in this area,
Mhm.
you, even when a child's response differs from what you would have expected,
Mhm.
unless it takes away from what you're teaching them from that particular standard, if it's theme or plot or those things that have something
Right.
specific, allow them that opportunity to express themselves, because that was one of the things that Principal Hurt talked about this morning with that creativity, because we don't
Mhm.
want to stifle that.
Exactly. Definitely don't want to kill the creativity. And that's why sometimes rubrics are helpful when you're looking at writing, because writing is so subjective and it's easy for you to just, put your own thoughts onto what someone else is doing. But the rubrics a lot of times are helpful. So the next point after the writing is that every child talks with peers about reading and writing. And a lot of times when we're going around to conduct instructional rounds, and even this article talked about it, that talking with peers is something that is really not seen or not very prevalent in a lot of classrooms, but it's so important because the research shows that it improves comprehension and engagement when students are able to talk with their peers and think through things. You do have to make sure it's structured. You have to make sure students have practiced it. You have walked them through how to do that, because I think what happens is sometimes teachers become afraid of like the classroom management component of it. But that time to turn and talk to a peer is so important and really raises that level of engagement and comprehension. So please make sure that you are not leaving that part out, because students are able to analyze, they're able to comment and, take that level of rigor up several steps from just them completing activities within the class.
Exactly. And the thing that I think is also important about turning and talking, and this probably will help with management in the classroom, is as the teacher who is allowing this experience to take place in the classroom, become a part of that. Like, go
Mhm.
and hear what the kids are turning and talking about. And
Exactly.
you have them, and they may kind of stray off of the topic that you want them to actually be discussing and having discourse about. Guide them back to what it is you want them to be able to talk about, because modeling that turning and talking will deepen that experience in the classroom. And then I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something
Oh,
else?
I was just going to say also those structures, like if you have someone be the timer, if you have someone who's, the leader or the facilitator, that also helps too in guiding them through that process.
Yes, and then the last point that we want to talk about with those experiences that should happen in the classroom every day is the importance of every child listening to a fluent adult read aloud. So I want to say that again. Every child needs that experience of hearing and listening to a fluent adult read aloud. Listening to good reading is essential because you're modeling what good reading should sound like. You're modeling the use of vocabulary, background knowledge. You're developing the sense of story, the awareness of whatever genre you're particularly reading at this point, and you're providing that structure for strong comprehension. Now, this is important, and this is something that we want to make sure everybody understands. It doesn't just happen because you're standing up and you're reading aloud. What you have to do is be very intentional, and it's crucial for you to be able to model with talking points through that read aloud that makes it interactive, so that those things you want the children to gather from that, you are making a point of sharing with them. It also gives you the opportunity, as Sheka was talking about before, to make those disciplines connect, because you can talk about, if you're reading a historical fiction aloud to the students, then you could talk about the point in history where these things took place, and it gives you teaching points that allows for children to experience high quality reading experiences. And if you are a good model, which you'll see them doing when they go to their literacy stations, is mimicking what you're doing. They'll be reading aloud to your class mascot or to each other, because it is so important that they see that this is a part of how they are going to develop as readers. And then the last thing that I'll say is, this is something Principal Hurt talked about this morning. You cannot just do that. This means that you need to pre-read what you're going to be reading aloud to the kids, so that you can make post-it notes in there to remind you of what your teaching points are going to be, what it is you want the kids to get from that reading experience, which is what makes it an interactive read aloud versus just a read aloud. And don't get me wrong, there are times when it's appropriate just to have a read aloud so that children can enjoy an adult reading to them. But when you're making the experience interactive, and that's what you want to do to develop those reading skills, be sure that it's been intentionally planned for.
You're exactly right, Tammy. And I just wanted to put this comment back up from Alyssa, that sentence stems are also very helpful for students and leading them through, when we were talking about that turn and share, and the sentence stems really will help with that. And that read alouds provide common literacy experiences for students. They do. So all of that, and modeling is definitely something that we want them to see when adults are reading.
Definitely.
So these 6 literacy experiences are things that children should experience in classrooms every day. We will post the link to this article so that you all can have this and refer back to it, because one thing that I'm doing in my new role is making sure that our leaders are strong and understand what literacy rich environments look like, and also how to be intentional about making sure that literacy is developing in their buildings, because we need to be aware of what needs to be happening, because as we're going through to give feedback, you have to give the correct feedback. And if you don't know what it should look like, you can't do that effectively. So we have just a few more minutes. I think, Tammy, we're just going to run through those elements, the 6 elements of a literacy rich classroom.
Sure.
These are things that should be present in a classroom that's literacy rich, but sometimes they're lacking when you go in, and when studies have gone and researched whether these things are available in classrooms. So I'll read the first 6. We talked about classroom libraries and how important those were. Content posters, anchor charts are so important and really could be made with the teacher as well as the students. Word walls are important. Labels, and I even have labels up in my home with my daughter learning how to read. Things are labeled so she can start recognizing what the actual words look like when we're talking about the microwave and the refrigerator or the cabinet. Literacy workstations are very important as well. And you want to finish up the list, Tammy?
Sure. We also have writing centers, computers, displays of student work, displays of books and information, bulletin boards, and then plenty of different opportunities for them to read, write, listen, and speak. But there are 2 things that we want to just make sure we emphasize to you with anchor charts. The reason that anchor charts are so important to have in a classroom is because they are supposed to anchor down the learning that is taking place in the class. So although there could be a time when a teacher creates a chart before the class begins, the best practice for anchor charts is that they are co-created with those students that are in that classroom during those learning experiences, so that they anchor the learning and are able to hold on to it, because that's what's really important and purposeful about that anchor chart aspect. And then the last thing was something that we just thought was really important to make sure we emphasize. Literacy stations are very important, and those experiences can look lots of different ways for what really is teacher preference. But just making sure you have the children get access to a listening station, a word study station, a writing station, independent writing, independent reading, as well as maybe a computer station. But this is what I will say, and this is just my personal opinion. In the use of computers, I think they're super important, but no computer program will ever replace high quality instruction in the classroom. We have lots of great things going on in our classes with computers, with Epic and Read Theory, Read Works, and we have RAS Kids, Reading A to Z, lots of different strong programs, but those programs will never replace the quality instruction that kids are going to get from a teacher in a classroom. So as Sheka said before, we are very, very pressed to make sure that everybody sees and knows what a literacy rich environment looks like in a classroom, so that we can make sure that kids are getting access to those types of experiences. And if you need to, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help in any way that you need us to, if you need more information about it.
Exactly. And Tammy, I can't reiterate what you said even more. Explicit direct instruction from a teacher, nothing, no computer program in the world can replace that, especially when we're talking about improving reading with our children, because there's certain things that a computer will never recognize that a teacher will be able to help a child work through, especially when you're talking about those decoding strategies and everything that we have to do to teach them those strategies to be better readers. So thank you to those of you that reached
Thank
out
you,
to
guys.
us about the materials that we have for you for remediation. We've already sent several of you that information that was requested. And shout out to the parents who even contacted us. There are so many parents who just really want real solutions to be able to help their children. And, a lot of times we think that parents may not know or understand, but if you guide them through that process, educators, teachers, parents are really wanting solutions for their children. They want them to improve and do better and see them be successful. So let's make them real partners with us,
For sure.
and reach out to us to get those resources that we can provide for you for the classroom and for parents at home. The other resource and partnership that we are excited about is the one with R.E.A.L.L. Incorporated, the R.E.A.L.L Institute, with Dr. Gilnome from Harvard Medical School. Our partnership is one that he's gotten a grant to be able to provide through us a book that will help you with social and emotional learning. We can schedule a meeting with you about the training that goes along with that. And we have partnered with R.E.A.L.L in order to provide our social and emotional learning program that's literacy based, where we're teaching you how to build relationships with students through books and through reading and the read aloud. So we thank you all for being here. As Principal Hurt stated, hey Josh, on his podcast, next Saturday, of course, is the break. And we are going to unplug, and we hope that you all unplug as well. Spend some much needed time with your family, get some rest. We know that this year has been probably one of the most difficult years, especially surrounding everything with COVID. So just get you some rest, unplug. We will not be here next Saturday, but we will be happy to rejoin you all the following Saturday with more information on everything from our framework. But we really focus a lot on literacy because we're passionate about that, and we know that it impacts so many different facets of society, and it's something that we know our children as well as our educators and parents are requesting actually from us.
Yes, we are very excited and say happy Thanksgiving. We're going to get out of your way so that you guys can hop on over and join Principal Kafele. And as Sheka said, we will not see you next Saturday, but enjoy your family and a time of Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and just quality family time. So we will see you guys back in 2 Saturdays.
2
Happy
Saturdays.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.